In the high-stakes arena where justice is swift and no-nonsense reigns supreme, the case that would become a labyrinth of misplaced trust and mechanical disaster began not with a roar but with a sputter, pitting a hopeful motorcycle owner named Michael Sepulveda against a mechanic named David Grabow, whose promises would prove far more reliable than his workmanship, all under the piercing gaze of the one and only Judge Judy. The core of this bewildering tale was a motorcycle, a machine that was supposed to represent freedom but instead became a prison of frustration and financial drain. Its journey starting when Michael, wanting a safe and roadworthy bike, reached out to David with a specific simple request, a plea for basic safety features that any responsible rider would want. The initial conversation, as recounted in the courtroom, was a masterclass in vagueness and missed opportunities, a dance of ambiguity that set the stage for the impending catastrophe, where Judge Judy, with her trademark razor-sharp interrogation, immediately sliced to the heart of the absurdity, her voice dripping with incredulity as she demanded, "When the bike was first brought over to you, there was no direction as to what was to be done with the bike?" To which David Grabow responded with a confident, "Yes, there was," a statement that would quickly unravel under the heat of judicial scrutiny. The stated direction was to install switches, wiring, a task that sounded straightforward, but was shrouded in a fog of unclear terms, with Judge Judy meticulously establishing that the customers, Michael and his partner, had bought most of the parts, making David's role seemingly simple. He was just supposed to put them. In effect, Judge Judy repeated with emphasis, "Customer bought the parts. You were just supposed to put them in." And David, as affirming, "Correct," painted a picture of a simple job, a picture that would soon be torn to shreds. The first major red flag, a crimson banner of impending doom, was the shocking figure of $2,000 for labor, a number that made Judge Judy's eyebrows arch in disbelief as she sought the origin of this quote. But the plot twisted away from a simple estimate into a bizarre narrative offered by David, who claimed Michael had given him not a clear budget but a nebulous, almost childish instruction. "We could fix the bike," followed by a list of needs like turn signals and a flat tire repair, and then the most baffling directive of all, "And then update me as to when we get." A statement Judge Judy cut off with a sharp, dismissive, "No, no, no. That's a ridiculous statement from an adult," her voice echoing the frustration of anyone who has ever been given runaround service, highlighting the sheer unprofessionalism of a plan that lacked the most fundamental component, a firm, agreed-upon price stop. When Judge Judy, her tone laced with the weariness of seeing this scenario play out 1,000 times before, pressed David on why he never asked for an estimate, his feeble, helpless response was a quiet, "I don't know why not. 'Cause I trusted him," a sentence that hung in the air, heavy with the weight of regret and naivete, a testament to the blind faith Michael had placed in David Grabow, a faith that was about to be brutally betrayed. The financial bleed began a slow trickle that turned into a flood, with Michael Sepulveda ultimately paying over $2,000 to David, and for what? The bike was now in another shop, completely non-operational, a silent metallic monument to failure, leading Judge Judy to deliver a blunt, factual assessment to Michael. "So, evidently, you didn't do such a good job." And David's "Me correct" was an admission of guilt that did nothing to refund the money or repair the machine. Just as it seemed the case was straightforward, Michael introduced a bombshell, a moment of sheer contractual whiplash that injected suspense into the proceedings. He revealed that the initial verbal quote given over the phone was not $2,000, but a mere $500, a staggering difference that made the final bill seem less like payment and more like extortion, a claim that made the audience lean in and Judge Judy focus her laser-like attention on this new discrepancy. The reason for this chaotic financial spiral was then revealed to be even more convoluted and emotionally charged. As Michael explained, the entire project was supposed to be a surprise for him, orchestrated by his partner, a well-intentioned but disastrously executed gesture that removed Michael from the initial conversations and allowed the project to spiral out of control without his direct oversight, a fact that made Judge Judy pivot with a surprise for whom? Unable to mask her bewilderment at the sheer dysfunction of a surprise that involved the recipient calling about parts and prices, a contradiction so plain it was almost comical. The timeline of this mechanical tragedy was a saga in itself, a chronicle of repeated failures and desperate hopes. Beginning when the bike was first picked up on the fateful date of October 31st, 2015, after David Grabel had it for a month, a period that culminated not in a functioning motorcycle, but in a catastrophic failure after a mere 15 miles. The bike simply dying on the road, its battery dead, its promise broken. Judge Judy's impatience with euphemisms was palpable as she interrupted, "I don't care what went dead." It stopped running, a statement that cut through any technical excuses and went straight to the core of the matter. The service provided was fundamentally defective. In a decision that defied all logic and self-preservation, Michael Sepulveda, clinging to the thin reed of David's claimed 30-day warranty, allowed the very man who had just broken the bike to take it back, a choice that made Judge Judy audibly scoff at the notion of a warranty from someone who had already proven his work was substandard, a cycle of insanity playing out in real time. The financial accounting became a murky swamp of partial payments and balances, with Judge Judy acting as a forensic accountant of the absurd, trying to pin down how the $900 paid initially ballooned into a total of $2,000, revealing a pattern of David requesting deposits along the way, a classic tactic that ensnares clients deeper into a financial pit with nothing to show for it. The final, almost unbelievable act of this saga was the revelation of the motorcycle's whereabouts for a critical 4-month period between November and March, when Judge Judy learned the bike was just sitting while Michael and his partner waited for David to decide how to fix it or go to court. Her voice reached a peak of utter astonishment with the exclamation, "March?" A single word that conveyed volumes about the profound passivity and poor decision-making that had allowed this situation to fester like an open wound. The atmosphere in the courtroom was thick with tension, a palpable cloud of Michael Sepulveda, simmering anger and bitter disappointment. The emotion of a man who felt cheated, not just out of his money, but out of his dream. His trust twisted into a weapon used against him, while David Grabau projected a facade of calm professionalism that was repeatedly shattered by Judge Judy as incisive questions, revealing the anxious and incompetent man beneath. Every time David uttered the word correct to admit another failure, it was like a nail in the coffin of his credibility, his own words convicting him in the court of public opinion and legal judgment, his demeanor shifting from confident to cornered as the evidence of his shoddy workmanship and dubious business practices mounted uncontrollably. Judge Judy herself became the avatar of the frustrated viewer, her expressions a running commentary on the folly before her, the eye rolls at the surprise explanation, the sharp intake of breath at the $2,000 figure, the disbelieving shake of her head at the 4-month storage saga, her reactions guiding the audience through the emotional landscape of the case, making them feel the sheer absurdity of it all. The suspense was not in whodunit, but in how such a simple transaction could have gone so spectacularly wrong. How many times Michael would return to the well of poor service, and what Judge Judy's final cutting verdict would be, a verdict that seemed to be leaning toward a harsh lesson for Michael about buyer's remorse and personal responsibility, even as it condemned David's incompetence. The hook of this story is the universal fear of being taken advantage of by a supposed expert. The sinking feeling in your gut when you realize the person you trusted with your prized possession is in over their head. And the frustrating, often expensive journey to reclaim what was lost. An emotional roller coaster that Judge Judy navigates with surgical precision, exposing every raw nerve and failed expectation. This is a cautionary tale etched in the annals of small claims court, a story where motorcycles' sputter echoed the sputtering of truth, and a mechanic's promises proved to be as reliable as a dead battery on a dark road, all culminating in the stern, unwavering voice of Judge Judy delivering a lesson that resonates far beyond the courtroom walls. The profound and essential lesson for every listener and viewer is this: asterisk, trust must be earned, not freely given, especially in business transactions. A verbal agreement is a fragile shield against the arrows of exploitation. Always, without exception, demand a detailed, written estimate and a clear contract before any work begins. Do not let well-intentioned surprises override common sense, and never, ever continue to pour money into a failing venture with someone who has already